teacher, Ms. Maria Cecilia Viladesa, and welcome to General Mathematics 11. General Mathematics 11, as we all know, has been divided into three sections. We have functions and their graphs, basic business mathematics, and of course, logic. Now for this video lesson, the topic will be taken from the basic business mathematics part. So, sit back, watch, learn, and of course, enjoy. The start of the pandemic paves way to the new learning modality. You, dear students, ask your parents to purchase or buy you a new cellular phone. Now, lucky for those who can buy it in cold cash. But what about those who can't afford it to buy in one-time payment? Thank God we have the home credit. Most of us purchase our phones in monthly installment or monthly payments with corresponding interest as well. No matter how the sales representative explained it to us, we can still see the bigger picture. Is it worth it to go for it? Or should I say pass? These are the common questions that we have in mind in the stores while deciding to go for it or say yes or no. Now, no need to worry, dear students. This video lesson will help you answer these questions on your next purchase. Welcome to Simple and Compound Interest lesson. And these are the learning objectives for today's video lesson. First, illustrate simple and compound interests. Second, differentiate simple from compound interests. And third, solve real-life problems involving simple and compound interests. Paying interest has been part of any human activities and has been regarded as legitimate commercial practice as far back as ancient periods. However, in the Middle Ages, religious and secular laws branded interest as usury and prohibited charging interest in any business transactions. But with the rapid growth of commerce and industry and the development of banking system, the concept of usury has been limited to exorbitant interest. Governments started to regulate and set limits on interest rates. Financial institutions like banks and pawn shops pay interest to their clients for using the money they deposited in their savings account for investment opportunities. On the other hand, the borrowers are charged with higher interest rates for the use of the loan amount or the loan money. Now, interest is the primary source of income for the banks. When we talk about simple and compound interest, there are terms that we need to understand first. And here are the following terms that will play a vital role for today's video lesson. First, we have the lender or the creditor. Next, we also have the borrower or the debtor. Third, we have the time or term. We also have the rate of interest. We also have the maturity date. We also have the maturity value or future value. Now let's discuss these terms one by one. Let's start with the lender or creditor.
The lender or creditor pertains to the person or any institution who invests the money or makes the funds available. Borrower or debtor, on the other hand, pertains to the person or institution who owes or invests the money from the lender. Next, we have the origin or loan date, which is the date on which the money is received by the borrower. Maturity date, on the other hand, pertains to the date on which the money borrowed or loaned was completely repaid. Next, we have the time or term. Amount of time in years the money is borrowed or invested. This is the length of time between the origin and the maturity dates. Principal, or the principal amount, pertains to the amount of money borrowed or invested on the origin date. Next, we have the rate. Rate, or the annual rate, usually in percent, can be charged by the lender, or the rate of increase of the investment. Next, we have the maturity value, or the future value. Is the amount after the term or the years that the lender receives from the borrower on the maturity date. Now, simple interest refers to the interest that is added on the principal and then added to it immediately. While compound interest, on the other hand, pertains to the interest which is computed on the principal and also on the accumulated past interest. Now let's define simple interest further. So what is simple interest? It is interest charged on the principal alone for the entire duration or period, which is T, of the loan or investment at a particular rate, or R. After the term of the loan or investment, the maturity value or future value, which is F, is computed by getting the sum of the principal and the interest dues. Now, to put it in a formula, it's IS is equals to PRT. As for the future value, it's F is equals to P plus IS, or it could be P plus PRT, or the P, open parenthesis, 1 plus RT, close parenthesis, where I of S is equals to the simple interest P is the principal amount, R is the rate of interest, T is the term, which is in years, and lastly we have the letter F for future value or maturity value. Now let's use this formula in a given example. Now suppose to be this is the example problem. Sarah deposits $4,000 at the bank at an interest rate of 4.5% per year. Now how much interest will she earn at the end of 3 years? A basic rule of problem solving, we need to identify what is required and what is given. As for this problem, we all know that the IS is the one required, for what is asked is the simple interest. Now the principal amount is given, which is $4,000. Rate is 4.5%, but we need to convert it into decimal points, so that's divided by 100, so that's 0.045, and T of course is 3 years. So let's use the formula for IS, which is PRT. So we need to multiply the principal amount to the rate and the term. Which is $4,000 times 0.045 times 3, that will give us $540. So the answer is she earns $540 at the end of 3 years. Did you get it correctly? Now let's try another example. Raymond bought a car for $40,000. He took a $20,000 loan from a bank at an interest rate of 15% per year for a 3-year period. This is the total amount that he would have to pay the bank after 3 years. So once again, let's try to determine what are the given and what is asked. Now IS is of course asked, so it's required. The principal amount is given, which is $20,000. Now rate is 15%, convert the decimal point, that's 0.15. And lastly, we have the term or the T, which is 3 years. Now computing for IS, we have the formula PRT. So that's $20,000 times 0.15 times 3 that will give us $9,000, but remember we're looking for future value in here. So after computing for IS, we need to add it up to the principal amount. Future value is equals to P plus IS, which is $20,000 plus $9,000 is equals to $29,000. So Raymond needs to pay $29,000 to the bank at the end of 3 years. Now, did you know that by using the formula IS is equals to PRT, we could also solve for the principal, the rate, and the term or the time? All we just need to do is derive that simple formula, IS equals to PRT, depending on what is asked. So for principal, that is IS divided by RT, or P is equals to F minus IS. Now, if we're computing for the value of T, the formula is IS divided by PR. Just remember, we need to express it in years, so it should be number of months divided by 12. And lastly, to compute for the value of R, it is IS divided by PT. Now, the most important thing is to know what are the given and what is asked in the problem. Now, let's try to test these knowledge about those formulas in the following example. First example, a loan of $1,200 had $36 in interest. The rate was 6%. Now, what was the length of the loan? Now, obviously, IS is given, which is $36. Principal amount is also given, which is $1,200. Now, rate is 6% or 0.06. Now, T is what is asked, or the term is what is asked in this problem. Now, using the formula for T, that's IS, divided by PR, which should be in the form of number of years. So that's 36 divided by 1,200 times 0.06, which is equals to 36 over 72, or 1/2, or simply put it, 6 months. Because 1/2 of a year is 6 months. Now let's move on to example number 2. An investment earned $11.25 interest after 9 months. Now, the rate was 5%. So what was the principal? Or what was the principal amount? Now IS is given, which is $11.25. Now P, we're looking for the principal amount in here. And then R is at 5%, or that's 0.05. And then T, we have 9 months, or that's 0.75 years. So that's 9 divided by 12, we got 0.75 years. Now, since we're looking for P, the formula for P, or the principal amount, is 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 equals to RT. Now, substituting, we have 11.25 divided by 0.05 times 0.75, so that's $300. The principal amount is $300. Now, moving on to another example. $2,000 was invested for 3 years. It earned $204 in interest. Now, what was the rate? IS is given, which is $204. P, or the principal amount, is also given, which is $2,000. Now, this time we're looking for R, or the rate of interest. And then we have the value for T, or the term, which is 3 years. So using the formula for R, which is IS divided by PT, substituting the amount, we have 204 divided by 2,000 plus 3, that is equals to 0.034. We need to convert it to percent, so that's times 100, which is 3.4%. Now those are the things that you need to know about simple interest. Now moving on to compound interest. So what is compound interest? Compound interest is the interest in a loan or deposit calculated based on both the initial principal and the accumulated interest from the previous periods. Now here's the formula for compound interest. That's A is equals to P, open parenthesis, 1 plus R divided by M, close parenthesis, raised to the power of MT, where A pertains to the future value. P, of course, is the principal amount. Rate is, or R is the rate of interest. And then we have the T for the time, or the term in year. Now M would be the number of compounding periods a year. So basically, if we say semi-annually, that's 6 over 12, so that's 6 months. And then quarterly pertains to 3 months. Now let's have this particular example. An investment earns 3% compounded monthly. Now find the value of an initial investment of $5,000 after 6 years. Now to answer this problem, we need to somehow look what are the givens and what is required. Of course, we're looking for the value of A, or the future value. Now P, or the principal amount, is at $5,000. And then we have the R, which is 3%, or 0.03. Next, we have the letter T, or the term, or the time, which is 6 years. And lastly, we have the value of M, since it was stated that monthly, so basically that's per month. So we have 12 months per year, so that's M is equals to 12. Now using the formula for A, we have this formula. We just need to substitute all the givens. So that's A is equals to 5,000, open parenthesis, 1 plus 0.03 divided by 12, close parenthesis, then raised to the power of 12 times 6. And that's the value after 6 years will be $5,984.74.
After learning the concept of simple and compound interest, let's let's try to combine these two concepts with the next problem. And here's our problem. Simply
Now, suppose you want 10,000 pesos and you plan to invest it for 5 years. A cooperative group offers 2% simple interest rate per year. A bank offers 2% compounded annually. So, which will you choose and why? Now, to solve this, we need to solve it individually. We need to solve for the simple interest and the compound interest. So, let's start with simple interest. So, these are the given, and the required is, of course, the IS or the simple interest. Principal amount is at 10,000. R is 2% or 0.02. And then the value of T is 5 years. So given the formula IS is equals to PRT, substituting the value, that's 10,000 times 0.02 times 5 is equals to 1,000 pesos. So if you use the simple interest, your 10,000 will be future value principal plus the IS, which is 10,000, plus the computed simple interest 1,000. So after 5 years, your 10,000 will be 11,000 pesos. Or to simply put it, at the end of 5 years, he would have or you would have 11,000 pesos. Now moving on to the computation for the compound interest. We're looking for the value of A or the future value. Still the same, P is at 10,000 pesos. R is equals to 2% or that's 0.02. And then we have the T or the term, which is 5 years. Now since this is compound interest, so there should be a value for M. Now it says there annually, so M should be 1. Now given the formula for A, which is P, open parenthesis 1 plus R divided by M, close parenthesis M times T, substituting all the values. So that's A is equals to 10,000, open parenthesis 1 plus 0.02 divided by 1, close parenthesis, then that's raised to the power of 1 times 6. Now you may use your calculator. So the value after 5 years will be 11,040 pesos and 81 cents. So for simple interest, we will have 11,000 pesos. As for compound interest, we will be receiving 11,040 pesos and 81 cents. So therefore, you should go with the bank with compound interest, since compound is greater than the simple interest.
simply put it, dear students, if you want to invest your money, go for compound interest because it will make your money bigger in the near future. But if you want to borrow money, then you can go with simple interest. That way, you will only be charged a small amount of interest. Now, I hope you learned something from the simple and compound interest lesson. Now, this time, let's check your knowledge with this multiple choice. I will be giving you 2 problems with 4 options each, and you need to choose which is the perfect answer for it. Let's start with problem number 1.
Question number 1. A money lender lent 1,000 pesos at 3% per year and 1,400 pesos at 5% per year. The amount should be returned to him when the total interest comes to 350 pesos. Now find the number of years. And here are your choices. A, 3.5, B, 3.75, C, 4, or D, 4.5. Now, given this solution to the problem, The answer is 3.5. So that's letter A.
Good job for those who got it correctly. Now let's move on to problem number 2.
For question number 2, find the present worth of 20,872 and 50 cents due to 2 years, hence at 10% rate of interest. A. 17,500, B. 17,520, C. 17,750, and D. 17,250. Answer is 17,250. So that's letter D.
Congratulations for getting 2 out of 2. Now let's further check your knowledge with these 3 problems involving simple and compound interest. Try to solve it with the use of paper and pen at home and check if you got it correctly. Now let me end this video lesson with this powerful quote from Albert Einstein. Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it, and he who doesn't pays it. Thank you all for watching. For any concerns and clarifications, you may contact me with these following details. Once again, I hope you learned something from this video lesson, and thank you all for watching. This has been your teacher, Miss Maria Cecilia B. Ledesa, saying thank you and see you on your next video lesson.